The data from Dr. Hestevan's research facility spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Video recordings of Tejo surviving impossible tests were shared between governments. Scientists argued about what it meant. Military leaders planned for the worst. Captain Han Soo-jin of Terran Intelligence was working late in her office on Earth when the priority message came in. She read it 3 times before she believed it. Multiple alien coalitions forming anti-human alliances, the report said. Estimated 40% of galactic species now consider humanity an existential threat. Military action possible within 6 months. She called Admiral Kim immediately. Sir, we have a problem. The data from that research facility has convinced half the galaxy that we're too dangerous to live. How bad is it? The Veltari Empire just announced they're suspending all trade with human colonies. The Crystalline Federation is calling for protective measures against human expansion. And the hegemony is openly discussing preemptive strikes. On station Kepler 442, Tejo was in the medical bay. Dr. Yoon was amazed by how fast he was healing from the tests. The burn marks were fading. His hair was growing back. Even his old scars looked different now. Your cellular structure has changed, she told him. The adaptation process is permanent. Your body now has resistance to every type of damage they tested on you. Great. So I'm tougher to kill than before. Much tougher. But that's not the scary part. What's the scary part? This adaptation process appears to be genetic. Any children you have will likely inherit these resistances. Humanity isn't just evolving. We're evolving fast. Drakmore came into the medical bay with news. My people have decided to support humanity. The Krolex Council says any species that survives like humans do deserves respect, not fear. How many other species feel that way? Tejo asked. Not many. Most are scared. Some are angry. A few want to study you more. Hyojin rushed in with her data pad. I've been monitoring galactic communications. There's something big happening. She showed them the screen. Emergency session of the Galactic Council. They're voting on something called Resolution 2847. What's that? Dr. Yoon asked. Officially, it's about managing species with unusual survival characteristics. Unofficially, it's about what to do with humans. Jin Woo came in behind her. I just got word from Earth. Our government is calling all humans back to human space. They think war might be coming. War over what? Tejo asked. We haven't done anything wrong. We exist, Jinwoo said. In a galaxy where most species die from 1 or 2 serious injuries, a species that gets stronger from damage is terrifying. That night, Tejo couldn't sleep again. He walked to the observation deck where he could see the stars. Dr. Yoon found him there. Regret coming to this station? She asked. Every day. My shore leave started a galactic crisis. It's not your fault. We would have discovered this about ourselves eventually. Would we? I mean, did you know humans were this hard to kill? Dr. Yoon thought about it. I knew we healed well. I knew we survived things that killed other species. But I thought it was just good medicine and human stubbornness. Now we know it's something more. Much more. I've been reading the research data. Human survival rates have been increasing for generations. Each generation is a little tougher than the last. They stood quietly, looking at the stars. Finally, Tejo spoke. Do you think they're right to be scared of us? I think they're scared of what we might become, not what we are. And what might we become? Immortal. If this adaptation process continues, humans might eventually become immune to disease, aging, injury, everything. That sounds like a good thing. For us. But imagine being a species that lives only 50 years, watching humans who might live forever. Imagine fighting a war against soldiers who can't be killed. The next morning brought bad news. Representative Quindal announced the results of the emergency vote. Resolution 2847 had passed by a narrow margin. All species with unusual survival characteristics will be subject to monitoring and potential containment, he announced to the galactic media. This is for the protection of all galactic citizens. The resolution didn't mention humans by name. It didn't need to. Admiral Kim's response was immediate. The Terran Federation will not accept any restrictions on human freedom of movement. Any attempt to contain human citizens will be considered an act of war. The battle lines were being drawn. On the station, security increased. More alien ships arrived. Some carried diplomats who wanted to negotiate. Others carried weapons. Tejo was called to meet with a delegation from the Zephyrian Collective. Their leader was the same healer who had read his scars. We have a proposal, she said. Come with us. Let us study your abilities properly. Help us understand how to give other species the same survival gifts. You want to make everyone like humans? We want to level the playing field. If all species can survive like humans, then humans are no longer special, no longer a threat. Dr. Yoon shook her head. That could take thousands of years, and it might not even work. Then what do you suggest? The Zephyrian asked. Before anyone could answer, alarms started blaring throughout the station. Emergency lights flashed red. Noctar's voice came over the speakers. All citizens report to designated safety areas. Unknown ships approaching. Military configuration. They ran to the nearest window. In space, they could see ships approaching the station. Lots of ships. From many different species. Is that a rescue fleet or an invasion fleet? Hyojin asked. Jinwoo checked his scanner. Both. I see human ships, but also Veltari cruisers and hegemony destroyers. They're surrounding the station, Dr. Yoon said. Drakmore growled. This is not good. When too many predators gather at one place, someone always attacks first. On the station's command deck, Noctar was trying to maintain order. Representatives from dozens of species were demanding action. Some wanted to protect Taeho. Others wanted to capture him. A few wanted to kill him. The human is under station protection, Noctar said firmly. No one will harm him while he is here. That human is evidence of a threat to galactic peace, said a Veltari commander. He must be studied. He must be freed, said the captain of a human destroyer. We will not allow our people to be imprisoned. He must be eliminated, said a representative from the Firtalk Empire. Before his kind spreads across the galaxy. In the medical bay, Taeho was watching the argument through the security cameras. So many species all talking about him like he wasn't a person. I have an idea, he said suddenly. What kind of idea? Dr. Yoon asked. A crazy one. What if I talk to them? All of them. Show them that humans aren't monsters. That's suicide. Half of them want to kill you. Maybe, but if I don't try, they'll start a war over me. How many people will die in a war between humans and the rest of the galaxy? Jinwoo looked up from his communications gear. Millions. Maybe billions. Then I have to try. Taeho stood up and walked toward the door. Noctar, this is Captain Kang Taeho. I want to address the fleet commanders. All of them. There was a pause. Then Noctar's voice came back. That is very dangerous, Captain. So is a galactic war. Set up the meeting. As Taeho prepared to face the galaxy's judgment, he thought about his scars. Each one had a story. Each one proved he could survive the worst that the universe could throw at him. Now he had to survive something even harder. He had to convince the galaxy that humans deserved to live. Taeho woke up in a white room. The walls were smooth and blank. There were no windows, no doors that he could see. His head hurt and his mouth was dry. He tried to remember what happened. He had been in his quarters on the station, talking with Dr. Yoon and the others. Then there was a strange smell in the air. Everything went black after that. You are awake, said a voice. Taeho looked around but saw no one. Where am I? He asked. You are in a research facility. We need to understand what makes you so hard to kill. A section of the wall slid away. Through the opening came a creature that looked like a giant praying mantis. It walked on 2 legs and had 4 arms. Its head was triangular with large compound eyes. I am Dr. Hestevan, it said. I study survival mechanisms in different species. You are the most interesting subject I have ever encountered. You kidnapped me. We borrowed you. For science. Your survival abilities could help many species live longer. Let me go. After we finish our tests, we need to know how your body adapts to damage. The room suddenly filled with a green gas. Taeho held his breath, but he had to breathe eventually. The gas burned his lungs and made his vision blurry. Torvin poison gas, Dr. Hestevan said, watching through a window that appeared in the wall. It kills most species in 30 seconds. Taeho fell to his knees. His chest felt like it was on fire. But after a minute, the burning stopped. His vision cleared. He stood up. Remarkable, the mantis doctor said. Your body neutralized the poison. How do you feel? Like I want to break your face. Excellent. Your aggression levels remain normal. Next test. The room's temperature dropped fast. Ice formed on the walls. Taeho's breath made clouds in the air. His skin turned blue from the cold. Absolute zero exposure, Dr. Hestevan explained. Most species die when their body temperature drops below critical levels. Taeho's teeth chattered. His muscles cramped, but his body started to adapt. His blood flow changed. His metabolism increased. Soon he felt warm again, even in the freezing room. Incredible. Your body is learning to survive conditions that should be lethal. They put him through more tests. Poison darts that should have paralyzed him. Energy blasts that should have cooked his organs. Acid that should have dissolved his skin. Each time, Taeho's body found a way to survive. Meanwhile, on Station Kepler 442, Sergeant O.J. Sung was putting together a rescue team. He was a short, muscular man with scars of his own. He had served with Taeho for 5 years. Who took him? He asked Jinwoo. Unknown group. They used Zephyrian sleep gas and a cloaking device. Very professional. Dr. Yoon was checking her medical equipment. We need to find him fast. Those tests they're doing could kill him. I thought he was impossible to kill, said Hyojin. Even Taeho has limits. If they push him too far. Drakmor checked his weapons. The Krolex warrior had volunteered to help with the rescue. I know of places where such tests are done. Hidden bases in the asteroid fields. How do we find the right one? Jae Sung asked. I have contacts, said a new voice. A blue-skinned female alien entered the room. She wore the clothes of a smuggler. I am Carolyn. I know where they took your friend. Why would you help us? Jinwoo asked. Because what they're doing is wrong. Testing on people without permission. It's evil. Back in the research facility, Dr. Hestevan was excited by his results. Each test revealed more about human adaptability. Subject shows real-time evolutionary responses. He spoke into his recorder. Cellular structure modifies itself to counter each threat. This is beyond anything we've seen in nature. Taeho was tired but still alive. Each test hurt, but he kept surviving. He was starting to understand something about himself. His body wasn't just healing. It was learning. Why are you doing this? He asked. Because your species terrifies the galaxy, Dr. Hestevan said. Beings that cannot be killed upset the natural order. We need to understand if you can be stopped. And if I can't be, then other species will have to decide what to do about humanity. The mantis doctor prepared another test. This time the room filled with radiation. Taeho's skin burned, his hair fell out, but his body adapted again. His cells learned to repair the radiation damage faster than it could occur. This is impossible, Dr. Hestevan whispered. No species should be able to adapt this quickly. On the station, the rescue team was getting ready to leave. Jae Sung checked his weapons one more time. The smuggler Carolyn had given them the location of 3 possible research bases. We hit all 3 at the same time, Jae Sung said. Fast and hard. Get Taeho and get out. What if we're too late? Hyojin asked. Then we make sure the people who did this pay for it, Drakmor growled. Their ship was small but fast. Dr. Yoon carried medical supplies. Jinwoo had intelligence gear. Drakmor brought enough weapons for a small war. The first base was empty. The second base had test subjects, but they were all aliens. At the third base, they found what they were looking for. Life signs in the lower levels, Jinwoo reported. 1 human, 6 aliens. They went in shooting. The base's guards were scientists, not soldiers. They surrendered quickly when faced with Drakmor's war cry and Jae Sung's military training. They found Taeho in the White Room. He was alive but looked terrible. His skin was covered with marks from the tests. But he was standing. About time, he said when he saw them. Dr. Yoon scanned him with her medical device. This is incredible. Your body shows signs of adaptation to dozens of different threats. Poison immunity, radiation resistance, temperature regulation. It's like you've evolved in just a few hours. They captured Dr. Hestevan and his research data. The mantis doctor was still excited even as a prisoner. You don't understand, he said. This human survived tests that would kill anyone else. His body learned and adapted in real time. This proves that humans are becoming something beyond natural evolution. What do you mean? Dr. Yoon asked. I mean, humans are not just hard to kill. They are becoming impossible to kill. And if that continues, no other species in the galaxy will be able to compete with them. On the ship ride back to the station, they looked through the research data. It showed tests on other humans too. Soldiers, civilians, children, all showing the same adaptive abilities. How many of us did they take? Taeho asked. Dozens, Jinwoo said, reading the files. From colonies across human space. They've been studying us for months. Why? Because the galaxy is scared of us. And now I understand why. He showed them a chart. It compared human survival rates to other species over the past 100 years. The difference was huge and getting bigger. We're not just surviving better, Jinwoo said. We're evolving faster than any species in galactic history. At this rate, in a few generations, humans might be completely immune to most forms of damage. Taeho looked at his hands. They were already healing from the tests. His body was still adapting, still learning. So what does that make us? Either the galaxy's greatest hope, Dr. Yoon said, or its greatest threat. When they got back to the station, they found it surrounded by alien warships. Some were there to protect. Others were there to contain. The galaxy had made its decision about humanity. Now they had to live with the consequences. In the great chambers of the Galactic Council, Representative Quindal stood before hundreds of alien leaders. The massive room was filled with beings from across the galaxy. Some floated in tanks of water, others hung from the ceiling. All of them watched as Quindal showed his data. These numbers cannot be ignored, he said. His forearms moved across the holographic display. Humans have a survival rate 300% higher than any known species. A creature that looked like a walking tree raised one of its branch arms. Explain what this means in simple terms. If you shoot a Krolex warrior in the chest with a plasma rifle, they die 95% of the time. If you shoot a human the same way, they die only 30% of the time. The rest heal and become stronger. The room filled with worried voices in dozens of languages. A crystalline being like Noctar spoke up. Are you saying humans adapt to damage? Exactly. We have medical records of humans surviving the same type of injury multiple times. Each time they recover faster and show more resistance to that type of damage. On Earth, Admiral Kim Dong-hyun read the intelligence report that Jinwoo had sent. His face was grim as he called an emergency meeting with the Terran Defense Council. Gentlemen, we have a problem, he said to the room full of military leaders. Our ability to survive is making other species nervous. Nervous enough to do what? Asked General Park. According to our intelligence, some species are considering us a threat. They're worried we might become impossible to kill. Isn't that good for us? Not if they decide to kill us all before we get that strong. Back on station Kepler 442, Taeho was getting more visitors. A group of strange aliens arrived that morning. They were tall and thin with pale skin and large black eyes. Dr. Yoon said they were called Zephyrians. We are healers, their leader said. Her voice was soft like wind. We can read the stories written in scars. I don't understand, Taeho said. Each injury leaves an imprint. We can see how you were hurt and how you healed. May we touch your scars? Taeho looked at Dr. Yoon, who nodded. It might help us understand what's happening to you. The Zephyrian healer placed her long fingers on the scar across Taeho's forehead. Her eyes went white and she began to speak in a strange voice. Explosion, metal fragments, skull cracked. But something protected the brain. Something that learned from the damage. She moved to another scar on his arm. Poison, Korthak venom, should have killed in seconds, but the body fought back, changed, became immune. Dr. Yoon wrote down everything the healer said. This is incredible. It's like your body has memory. The healer touched the largest scar on Taeho's chest. Suddenly she gasped and pulled her hand away. What did you see? Taeho asked. Death, true death. No heartbeat for 6 minutes. But something called you back. Something that refuses to let humans die. In another part of the galaxy, Dr. Cho Minho was working in his secret laboratory. He was a xenobiologist who had been studying human survivors for months. His research was illegal, but he had to understand what made humans so hard to kill. He looked at blood samples from 50 different humans who had survived impossible injuries. Under his microscope, he saw something that excited and terrified him. The human cells were different. They changed when damaged. They learned. They adapted. It was like evolution happening in real time. He made a recording. Research log, day 112. Human cellular structure shows unprecedented adaptive capabilities. When exposed to toxins, radiation, or physical trauma, the cells don't just heal. They improve. They become resistant to future damage of the same type. He paused the recording and looked at his data again. If this continues, humans could theoretically become immune to most forms of damage within a few generations. No wonder other species are scared. On the station, Drakmor had become Taeho's unofficial bodyguard. The Krolex warrior respected the human's survival abilities and wanted to protect him. More ships arrived today, Drakmor said. Scientists from the hegemony. Military observers from the Federation. Everyone wants to see the unkillable human. I wish they'd stop calling me that, Taeho said. Why? It is an honor. In my culture, warriors pray to become like you. In my culture, we just call it being stubborn. Dr. Yoon came into the room with a worried expression. We have a problem. I just got word that some species are planning something called containment protocols. What does that mean? Taeho asked. It means they want to put all humans in controlled areas, for the safety of other species. That's insane. We're not dangerous. To them, you are. A species that can't be killed is the ultimate threat. Yojin burst into the room. You need to see this, she said, holding up a datapad. I hacked into the station's communication system. There are secret messages going back and forth between different species. She showed them the screen. Look at this one. It's from the Veltari High Command to their fleet admiral. Begin preparation for Operation Lazarus. If humans cannot be controlled, they must be eliminated before they become unstoppable. Drakmore's tusks showed as he snarled. They plan war. There's more, Hyojin said. The Zephyrians are asking their allies to help study human resurrection abilities. And the Crystalline Empire wants to capture human soldiers for defensive research. Dr. Yoon sat down heavily. This is exactly what I was afraid of. Our survival abilities are being seen as a weapon. Maybe because they are, said a new voice. Everyone turned to see Jinwoo standing in the doorway. I've been analyzing the data. Humans don't just survive better than other species. We get stronger from it. He came into the room and showed them his own datapad. Look at military records. Human soldiers who survive multiple battles become harder to kill. Their reaction times improve. Their resistance to damage increases. We're literally evolving through combat. So what are you saying? Taeho asked. I'm saying that every species in the galaxy has a reason to be scared of us. We're not just hard to kill. We're becoming impossible to kill. And in a galaxy where war is common, that makes us the ultimate survivors. The room was quiet as everyone thought about this. Finally, Drakmore spoke. Then we must choose. Do we hide what humans can do? Or do we show the galaxy that being hard to kill doesn't make us evil? How do we do that? Dr. Yoon asked. By proving that humans use their strength to protect, not to conquer. Outside the station, more ships arrived every hour. Some came to study. Others came to observe. A few came with weapons, just in case. The galaxy was watching the humans now. And what they decided to do about humanity's impossible survival abilities would determine the future of all species in the galaxy. Taeho looked out at the stars again. His scars had started something that was bigger than him. Now he had to figure out how to finish it without starting a war. The news about Taeho spread fast through the station. In the dark corners where smugglers and information dealers met, people whispered about the human who couldn't die. Some called it impossible. Others called it scary. Park Jinwoo sat in a small bar on level 7. He looked like a regular trader, but he worked for Terran intelligence. His job was to watch and listen. Right now he was very worried about what he was hearing. Did you see the security footage? Asked a blue-skinned alien at the next table. The human's scars made the scanner break. I heard he died 3 times but came back, said another. What kind of species can do that? Jinwoo finished his drink and left the bar. He needed to send a message to Earth. Something big was happening and his government needed to know. Meanwhile, Taeho sat in his assigned room on level 12. The view was good, looking out at the stars. But he felt like a prisoner. Security guards stood outside his door. They said it was for his protection, but he knew better. A soft knock came at his door. Come in, Taeho said. A massive alien walked in. It was 8 feet tall with thick gray skin and tusks like an elephant, but its eyes were intelligent and kind. I am Drakmore, the alien said in a deep voice. I am a war chief of the Krolex people. Nice to meet you, Taeho said carefully. Drakmore sat down in a chair that creaked under his weight. In my culture, scars tell stories. They show a warrior's strength and honor. Your scars tell many stories. They just show I've been careless. No, Drakmore said firmly. They show you are what we call a ghost walker, one who has visited death and returned. In our legends, only the greatest heroes become ghost walkers. Taeho touched the scar on his neck. I'm not a hero. I just got lucky. 3 times lucky enough to return from death? I think not. Drakmore leaned forward. Something protects you. Something powerful. Before Taeho could answer, his door opened again. Dr. Yoon came in with a young human woman. Taeho, this is Lee Hyojin. She works in engineering here on the station. Hyojin looked nervous. She was young, maybe 25, with short black hair and oil stains on her work clothes. I overheard something, she said quietly. Something important. What did you hear? Taeho asked. I was fixing the air system near the science labs. Some Veltari scientists were talking. They mentioned something called Project Lazarus. Dr. Yoon sat up straight. What exactly did they say? They said humans have survival rates that don't make sense. They've been collecting data from across the galaxy. Humans who should have died but didn't. Humans who get stronger after being hurt. Drakmore's eyes grew wide. The Veltari are the galaxy's best scientists. If they are worried, there's more, Hyojin said. They said the Galactic Council is meeting about it. Some species think humans might be dangerous. Dangerous how? Taeho asked. They're afraid that if humans keep getting harder to kill, we might become impossible to stop. Some want to study us. Others want to control us. Dr. Yoon stood up and walked to the window. I've been reviewing medical data from human colonies. Hyojin is right. Our survival rates are much higher than any other species. So what? Taeho said. That's good, right? Not if other species see it as a threat, Drakmore said. In war, the side that cannot be killed wins. Other species might decide to act before humans become too strong. Far away in the Galactic Council chambers, Representative Quindal stood before a room full of alien leaders. His forearms moved as he spoke. The data is clear, he said. Humans survive injuries that kill other species 90% of the time. They heal faster, adapt quicker, and seem to become more resistant to damage after each injury. An insect-like being clicked its mandibles. How is this possible? We don't know. But we have examples from across human space. Soldiers who survived plasma explosions. Civilians who lived through poison that kills in seconds. Pilots who survived in vacuum for minutes. Could they be using some kind of technology? Asked a floating jellyfish creature. No technology can explain this. It appears to be biological. Evolution on their homeworld created something we've never seen before. The room filled with worried voices. Species that had fought wars for thousands of years were suddenly afraid of a relatively new species that refused to die. Back on the station, Jinwoo was trying to send his report to Earth when someone knocked on his door. He opened it to find 3 aliens in dark robes. Park Jinwoo? One asked. Who wants to know? We represent certain interests. We know about the human in security custody. We want to talk. I'm just a traitor. We know what you really are, and we know your government will want to hear what we have to say. Jinwoo let them in. The lead alien was tall and thin with silver skin. Some species are planning to take action against humanity, the alien said. They believe your people are becoming too dangerous to ignore. What kind of action? Study. Containment, possibly elimination before you become a bigger threat. Jinwoo's blood went cold. That's genocide. That's survival from their point of view. A species that cannot be killed could rule the galaxy. In the engineering section, Hyojin was working on a broken power coupling when she heard voices again. She quietly moved closer to listen. The human scan results have been sent to every major species, one voice said. The response is already beginning. Good. We need to understand what makes them so hard to kill. Some of our allies think we should act more directly, capture more humans for testing. That would mean war with Earth? Perhaps. But better a war now than facing an unkillable enemy later. Hyojin's hands shook as she heard this. She had to warn someone. She finished her work quickly and ran to find Dr. Yoon. That night, Taeho couldn't sleep. He stood at his window looking at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, his home. He wondered if his survival had put his whole species in danger. Dr. Yoon found him there at midnight. Can't sleep either, she asked. I keep thinking about what that engineer said, about other species being afraid of us. I've been thinking about it too. I've been a doctor for 15 years. I've seen humans survive things that should be impossible. I never thought about how it might look to other species. So what do we do? I don't know. But whatever happens, the galaxy just learned something about humanity that we didn't even know about ourselves. Outside in space, ships were already moving. Some carried scientists who wanted to study humans. Others carried soldiers who saw humans as a threat to be eliminated. The unkillable human had started something that would change the galaxy forever. Captain Kang Taeho stepped off the transport ship and onto Station Kepler 442. His military boots made soft sounds on the metal floor. The station was huge, filled with beings from across the galaxy. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few looked like walking crystals. This was his first time seeing so many different alien species in one place. HFY wore his standard Terran Marine uniform. The dark blue fabric covered most of his body, but anyone looking closely could see old scars on his hands and neck. His face showed the marks of many battles. A thin line ran from his left ear to his jaw. Another scar crossed his forehead, barely hidden by his black hair. The station's main corridor was busy. Alien traders spoke in strange languages. The air smelled like a mix of different foods and machine oil. HFY walked toward the security checkpoint just like every visitor had to do. "Next," called a voice. HFY approached the scanning booth. Inside stood a tall, crystal-like being. Its body was clear with blue light flowing through it like water. This was Noctar, the station's security chief. "Step into the scanner, please," Noctar said. Its voice sounded like wind chimes. HFY walked into the white circle on the floor. Red beams of light moved up and down his body. This was normal. Every station in the galaxy used these scanners to check for weapons and diseases, but something was wrong. The scanner made a loud beeping sound, then another, then many beeps all at once. Red lights flashed everywhere. The machine's screen filled with warnings in different alien languages. Noctar's crystal body turned bright red. "Step out of the scanner," it said quickly. HFY stepped back. "Is there a problem?" Other security guards came running. Some had 6 arms, others looked like giant insects. They all stared at the scanner screen with wide eyes. "What does it say?" asked one guard. Noctar touched the screen with a crystal finger. The scanner found over 200 injury sites on this human's body. Old wounds, broken bones that healed wrong, burn marks, cuts from many different weapons. "So?" HFY said. "I'm a Marine. I've been in fights and the computer marked you as—" Noctar paused. "Impossible to kill." The other guards stepped back. "Some put their hands on their weapons. That's crazy," HFY said. "I'm just a regular human." Noctar looked at him with its bright blue eyes. "The scanner reads biological data. It says you have died 3 times, but you are still alive. How is this possible?" Before HFY could answer, a human woman walked over. She had short brown hair and wore a white medical coat. Her name tag said Dr. Yoon So-jin. "What's happening here?" she asked. "Dr. Yoon," Noctar said. "This human's scan results are unusual. Can you verify them?" Dr. Yoon looked at the screen. Her face went pale. "These readings can't be right. No one survives this much damage." "But I did," HFY said simply. Dr. Yoon took out a small medical scanner. "May I?" HFY nodded. She ran the device over his arms and chest. The scanner beeped softly as it found each old wound. "Plasma burn on the left shoulder," she said quietly. "Broken ribs healed badly. Knife wound that went through the lung. Energy blast damage to the spine." She looked up at him. "How are you still walking?" "I heal fast," HFY said. "Not this fast. Not from these kinds of injuries." Dr. Yoon's hands shook as she read more data. "According to your medical history, you were declared dead 3 separate times. Heart stopped, brain activity ceased, body temperature dropped. But here you are, a crowd was forming. Aliens from many different species watched the strange human who couldn't die. Some took pictures with their devices. Others spoke in worried voices. Noctar called his security team closer. "We need to inform the council about this." "Why?" HFY asked. "I haven't done anything wrong." "You don't understand," Dr. Yoon said. "In all our medical records across hundreds of species, no one survives what you've survived. Your body shows damage that should have killed you many times over." A tall alien with gray skin and 4 arms walked over. It wore the robes of a council member. "I am Representative Quindal from the Xenobiology Division. We need to study this human." "I'm not a lab rat," HFY said. "Of course not," Quindal said. "But your survival abilities could help many species. We need to understand how humans can live through such trauma." Dr. Yoon pulled HFY aside. "Listen to me," she whispered. "This is bigger than you think. If word gets out that humans are this hard to kill, it could change everything. Some species might see us as a threat." "A threat? Because I'm tough to kill? Think about it. In a galaxy where most beings die from 1 or 2 serious injuries, humans who can survive hundreds of wounds are unusual. Some might call it impossible. Others might call it dangerous." HFY looked around at all the alien faces watching him. Some looked curious. Others looked afraid. A few looked angry. "What do you want me to do?" he asked. "For now, cooperate. Let them run their tests. But be careful who you trust." Noctar approached them again. "Captain Tejo, we need you to stay on the station for a few days. For security reasons. Am I under arrest?" "No, but we have many questions." "And others are coming to ask their own questions." "Others?" "Scientists. Military leaders. Representatives from dozens of worlds. Word is already spreading about the unkillable human." Tejo sighed. He had come here for a simple shore leave. Now he was the center of attention for half the galaxy. "Fine," he said. "But I want a room with a good view and decent food." As they led him away, Tejo heard the aliens talking behind him. Words like impossible, dangerous, and threat kept coming up. He touched the scar on his face and wondered what he had gotten himself into. In the security office, Noctar sent messages across the galaxy. The subject line was simple. "Anomalous human detected. Survival rates impossible. Requesting immediate analysis." The messages traveled through space at light speed, reaching worlds and stations throughout known space. On each world, the message caused the same reaction: shock, disbelief, and worry. The human race had just become very interesting to the rest of the galaxy. And that might not be a good thing.